Self-esteem is a measure of how you view yourself. It's what you present to other people. High levels of self-esteem can come from transition when there wasn't there before. Now with me as a guy, I was very sullied, I was very sad. I never had much self-love for myself, but now that I've been on this journey for 4 years, I can look in the mirror and be happy with what I see, and that relates back to my character and my personality. I'm outgoing, I absolutely am a social butterfly. I love being all girly and getting all glitzy and glam because it just makes you feel good. And so my self-esteem now, because I've transitioned, is way higher than it ever was as a guy, and it's because of finally accepting to myself that yes, I am a trans woman. Now, welcome back to my channel. It is Nikki Chanel here, and thank you all for the amazing love and support I've been getting on my channel over this last week. I had that lapse in time where I was stuck at work for 8 days, but we are back. We have YouTube videos and we are gonna be making a lot of them, including today's video called Transition and Self-Esteem. Now let's get into this video. However, remember to like and subscribe, put those comments in the comment section. Give a super thanks if you're feeling extra, share it with your friends, hit the notification bell, and let's get into transition and self-esteem. Now, this video is actually inspired by a bodybuilding.com podcast that I was listening to at the gym. And they were talking about a book in there from the 1960s, a very famous self-help book called Psycho-Cybernetics. Now what Psycho-Cybernetics is it is a book written by a plastic surgeon in the 60s and 70s where he was a world-renowned plastic surgeon who was extremely good at what he did, and a lot of people would come to him to fix their perceived slights and just gain a little bit of cosmetic surgery to kind of fix their self-esteem issues, basically. But what he noticed was that a lot of his patients saw very good results out of it. They became more positive, they stopped looking at their perceived slights, and so they became more loving. However, some of their patients never actually gained much more self-esteem. They kept seeing themselves as ugly and just an unloving person, and so it reflected in their personality. And so he wrote a book called Psycho-Cybernetics, talking about the differences in appearance versus like your self-esteem. And personally to me, I thought this was an amazing book. Like, I want to read it and get into that and do all the research for it. But I thought this was very prevalent to transgender women because a lot of us, and I think the majority of us, transition to feel better about ourselves and undergo all these gender confirming surgeries to fix our perceived slights. However, I have noticed that in some transgender women, they undergo all of this work, but they're still not happy about themselves because they still view themselves as men. For me, for example, I have my hair done, I have a ton of makeup on, I have a very cute top, I have a very feminine body by this point. My voice is a little bit masculine, I will agree with that. But overall, I look female, but there's some days where I look at my facial hair, I look at my nose structure, I look at my complete lack of chest, and I don't really feel very feminine, even though I'm probably more feminine than a lot of women that I meet in my life. And so I thought this was very interesting dynamic here, and I wanted to do a video about transition and self-esteem because I feel that this is something that is kind of lost sometimes when people transition, is that the positive outlook of transitioning for me was I gained a lot of self-esteem and a lot of self-love in the way of that I can sit here in front of a YouTube video and talk about this stuff when as a guy, I never could. And so I'm going to use myself as the example here, and I'm going to talk about myself as a guy, what my self-esteem was as a guy, talk about my self-esteem now that I'm a transgender woman, been on this journey for 4 years, then also talk about what it's going to be like moving forward. And so let's get into that. Now let's talk about living as a male and my self-esteem as male. So as I've talked about in a lot of other videos, I started noticing that I was a little bit different at about 6 years old. And I really noticed it about 9 years old when I started cross-dressing. Now, for me, waking up every single day, I would, meander into the bathroom and I would just look at myself and just hate myself. I would just look at myself and just think, okay, you're ugly, you're not very attractive, you're not what I want to see in the mirror. And I actually thought I looked fairly good as a guy personally. Now that I look back on it, I actually looked very cute as a guy, I thought. And so I just lived like that every single day. Like there was a lot of self-loathing, there was a lot of like self-hatred within myself. Like I would wake up and I would like just smack the bed as hard as I could. And it reflected in my personality. Like when I would go to work, like once I finally started going to work, and going to school is a good example too. I never talked to anybody. I never really had friends. I never had what I would call like a support group around me. You know, being a teenage boy, like teenage boys are dumb. I'm just gonna say that right now. And I just didn't really fit in with that whole group. Like people that got to know me could tell that there was something different about me, but it wasn't like, I was way too afraid to talk about it. I was way too afraid to tell people that I dressed, that I wanted to be a drag queen, that I maybe wanted to be a girl. Like that was never something that I wanted to tell anybody because I was terrified of rejection. And so like during high school, I still think my biggest regret of high school is not being able to do more stuff and arguably not transitioning during high school, but I'm glad I waited for other reasons. But as a guy, I never had self-esteem. I never had what I would call self-love. Even when I started going to college and getting a job, like I started to meet people and talk to them outside of a high school level, and it became a lot better. I started to slowly gain. Working really got me out of my shell. Working really taught me, you know, hey, like it's not all that bad. Like I can go to work, I can work hard, and, you know, go from there. But I just didn't love myself. It was only on those small moments where I got to cross-dress and got to like experience like being feminine that there was like a shift in my personality. And I remember I had a friend at the time who I was just FaceTime, and I would show him like my dressing, and he was super accepting of it, you know, long-term friend. I haven't seen him in years, but he noticed that there was like a shift in my personality. I became a lot more flirty. I became a lot more playful. I just became a lot more just open with other people. And so that's how it went. And originally I thought I was just gonna live as a gay male. And as I started to like feminize myself over the ages of getting a job, you know, getting my eyebrows waxed, all that stuff, like I started fixing what I saw was perceived slights in my male face. I shaved my legs. I started shaving my face every single day. I still had very short hair and I wore guy clothes, but I wore like feminine guy clothes, like V-necks, skinny jeans, like I think it was Levi's skinny 511s is what I wore. And I started just slowly getting a little bit more feminine with myself, and it started reflecting my personality. Like as I started liking what I was seeing in the mirror, I became a lot more open to people, and I could start making friendships with people. And to me, that was one of like the big things that I noticed as I started to like feminize myself, was my personality like shifted really hard. Moving on to what my self-esteem was like as a transgender woman. So as I've talked about in every single transition video that I've ever made, transition's a very long road, and I'm gonna be on it the rest of my life. And in 20 something years, I will actually have lived most of my life as a transgender woman. And I'm gonna tell you right now, these have been the best years of my life, bar none. Like it's been a lot of work, and there's been a lot of like beauty appointments that I have to go to. There's been the whole transition process, getting used to, you know, people looking at you a little bit different, you know, getting used to the sir, ma'am things. But overall, my self-esteem levels are through the roof nowadays. Like I absolutely love myself. In fact, love myself a little bit too much, because at work, because I work at a grocery store, there's a lot of doors with like windows on them, but they kind of act as mirrors. Like my friends catch me like staring at myself all the time, like, you know, just like giving myself like a little like flare, because I finally love myself enough that I can just accept it. Like it was about 2 years into transition that I finally started seeing what I've wanted to see forever. A chick when I stare into the mirror. Like that's finally what I started to see. I went and go get my hair blonde because I love blonde hair, and I want it long, I want it cutesy. I wear makeup because makeup just makes you feel really cute, and it allows you to kind of accentuate your face a little bit. Like today when I was actually at my hair appointment, lady was like, "Oh, I love your lips." I'm like, "Oh, it's a lot of lip filler, honey." And I love myself nowadays because I finally transitioned and because I have started this process. I love what I see in the mirror, even without makeup on, even just completely sweaty at the gym. I finally have it, and it's reflected in my personality hardcore. I'm a complete social butterfly. Oh my gosh, like everyone's just like, "Oh, you're just so sociable. You're just such a social butterfly." And I talk to everybody. I talk to old men, I talk to old women, I talk to everybody under the sun, including some people that, you know, when you look at them, we're like, okay, that may be like anti-trans, but they just love my personality because I'm just open and energetic. I'm just fun and flirty nowadays. And it also reflects in my work ethic. Like nowadays, I get up at 5 a.m. Like as a guy, I just played video games all the time. And that's like how I just kind of dealt with gender dysphoria and dealt with like this issue. I would just immerse myself into like a female character in a video game. And with me now, I don't even play video games. Like I want to make money. I want to have my goals. I want to have an awesome house. And I want to have everything paid for and done with. I want to have a YouTube channel that's awesome. And it's because I finally transitioned that I now have those levels of self-esteem that it reflects in personality with other people. Like I have this new friend, she's awesome. I really enjoy her. I hope she watches this video. But like me and her, we just like chat, catty. We send each other heels on, you know, we send each other like Pinterest stuff. We send each other like YSL bags. We send each other nail designs. Like it's been so much fun is that I finally have like accepted myself and have found friends that I can like really relate with on good levels because I'm finally open enough to just be like, oh yeah, I was a crossdresser, who cares? Like I can just say that nowadays. Like I don't have any issues nowadays. Like my parents are slowly getting a little bit better, but because I transitioned, I now have self-esteem, and it's kind of amazing what happens when you have high levels of self-esteem and what you can accomplish. Now this section right here is just gonna be, what's it gonna be like moving forward? So with me right now is that, yes, I have high levels of self-esteem, but I have low moments. Like I especially have it when I have to go get my electrolysis done, where I have this big red spot on my face and it just reflects in my personality. It's like, okay, I view that as like, you know, that's kind of gross and it's just not fun at all. And a lot of people have what they would call like slights that they see. But as I slowly continue this process into the near future, very near future, like next couple months, I'll start to see my facial hair go away. I will probably go get my breast augmentation eventually. I may get a nose job because I really don't like my nose. And my makeup will get better, my hair will get longer, my body will just get a little bit more feminine as I'm on the HRT longer. And the sky's the limit essentially. Like when you love yourself, you can accomplish some amazing things. Like I have a YouTube channel that just hit monetization only 9 months into starting it. I have my Instagram that's at 31,200 followers at the time of making this video. And I hope that comes to date very soon. And I have friends, I have people I can go do stuff with. When I'm at work, like most of the time I just end up chatting with people like at work. Like there's good amount of times when I'm at work that 20 to 30 minutes of my shift is just talking to people and just talking to other people. Like there's sometimes when I go to lunch that I just end up talking because I finally love myself. And when you find friends that accept you as a transgender woman and just have no issue with you and just see you as a really cool person, it's pretty amazing what you can do. And so moving forward, I think my self-esteem is just gonna keep growing and my self-love for myself is gonna grow higher, and I may even find a boyfriend in the future that I can be intimate with and embrace. Now, in conclusion, Psycho-Cybernetics is a very interesting book that really started making me really think highly about the correlation between transition and self-esteem. And believe me, it's very much there. I started looking at some of the girls that I've talked to. I've started looking at some of the men that I talk to. And a lot of transgender women that are able to be themselves freely, because a lot of us aren't, and a lot of us are still in situations that prevent us from being ourselves, which is really horrible. And like, my condolences go out to you. Like, it's gonna get better, honey. It's always gonna get better. I know that's a charade, but it will get better. And when you have self-esteem, when you finally start seeing what you wanted to see in the mirror forever and ever and ever, you really start to grow as a person. And to me, that's my whole thing. I have grown so much in the last 4 years, not just as a transgender woman, not just into like this feminine world and this kind of like sometimes hated community, but I've just grown as a person. And it's because of transition that I have finally found like what I want to do. Like I enjoy doing YouTube. I love sitting here and talking to all of you, and I love coming up with new topics. I just love doing that. But it requires a lot of hard work to keep making YouTube videos. There's a lot of editing involved. There's a lot of planning out what to make. There's outlines that you make. And it's because of the fact that I finally love myself that I can do this and be here and talk to you and start making money from it, which is kind of awesome. Okay, now, thank you for that YouTube video. I probably said self-esteem like 50 times in this video, and I thank you all for the love and support that I always get on these videos. I thank you all for the ability to be able to be a monetized YouTuber and talk to you about topics that a lot of us kind of go through as transgender women. And again, if you have any comments that you would like to put, or if you would like to suggest topics for future videos, put them in the comments section, send me direct messages, let me know across all my platforms, okay? Now, thank you all for liking and subscribing to my YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell to never miss a video. Give a super thanks if you're feeling super extra. And thank you all, and this has been Nikki Chanel. Love you all.